Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the most beloved son of Vasudeva Devaki, who gave immense joy to Devaki, who killed Kamsa and Chanura, the tormentors of mankind, the great spiritual preceptor of humanity. We shall offer our salutations to him. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, the yoga of action. Lord Krishna has clearly stated how one should conduct oneself in life. Though we all, in one way or other, very active, but we are not performing the action in a way it should be done. So, the Divine Supreme comes to our level to teach us how to conduct our life, how to get rid of ignorance, how not to get trapped by Maya. And as Sri Ramakrishna said, this world is God's game, and God also participates in this game. That's the beauty. So out of infinite compassion and love, the Divine Supreme incarnates himself to lead humanity, to give direction to the people in a righteous way. Well, Sri Krishna says, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varta evacha karmani. Verse number 22. Lord Krishna emphatically says that he is not bound by any duty in this world. There is nothing that he should attain, and there is nothing that which he has not attained. So, Krishna says, yet I engage myself in action. Because people follow what the elders do. So here Sri Krishna takes full responsibility to lead humanity, And he tries to remove the confusion in Arjun's mind about the performance of duty. So, Krishna clearly says that action is very important, but we should do it in a proper way. Karma done in one way binds you, done in another way releases you from bondage. So karma done with love, dedication and faith in the presence of God, if the karma is done with spiritual orientation, then it leads the person towards the realization of the truth. That means he will be released from all bondage and suffering. On the other hand, if he doesn't care, if he doesn't want to accept the divine, but if he completely relies upon his own strength and way of doing things, he will be immediately come into trouble. Such a person becomes egoistic, arrogant, boastful, and all such evil qualities occupy his mind. Karma, in a way, is a boon. Everybody does karma. Even thinking is action. Meditation also is a karma. So, we should know the technique of doing the things and we should do it. Ignorance is no excuse. You must know the thing. You must get education. That's the way. Unless the lamp of knowledge is got, the darkness of ignorance will not go. What is it that the representative of God, an incarnation of the Lord, would want to achieve? Nothing. No attainment is necessary for him, because everything is in him and he is the source of everything. He doesn't have to do anything to get anything. He could just as well stay quiet. But Lord Krishna says, having come into this world with a body and a name, I am continuously working. So don't think that when you have obtained everything, you will just stop doing things. The mere fact that you are still a member of humanity means there's something for you to do. Lord Krishna explains, even though I don't need to obtain anything, if I do nothing, you know what will happen? All my students will follow my example. They will all say, look, he is not doing anything. Why should I do things? Ishwar, or the Saguna Brahman, is immanent in universe. Because of his proximity, there are orderliness and precision in all the happenings in the cosmos. These happenings, however, are all impersonal. Incessant activities are evident even in his incarnations as Sri Rama, Sri Krishna and others. Lord Krishna had nothing to gain or lose in Mahabharata warfare. Still, the part he played in it was far more than those of all the other characters put together. So Lord Krishna's role is very, very prominent in Mahabharata. The message was, must put down the evil and establish righteousness, goodness. That's the way one should conduct oneself. We should not simply escape from doing our duty because we are in some kind of problem or situation, difficult situation. No, that's not the way. यदिह्यहन्नवर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः. Should I not ever engage myself in action without relaxation, men would in every way follow my path. One thing we notice in all these holy people, staunch adherence to good and devotion to duty are the characteristics of the great. But the ordinary people in society don't usually feel inclined to emulate the merits in the eminent. If there be any lapses in them, such as idleness, procrastination and indifference to duty, these are readily caught by the ordinary. They even cite these shortcomings in the great as precedents. Sri Krishna is therefore exemplary in his conduct. In all of his doings, he is a model to mankind. So Lord Krishna emphasizes that we should be practical in our daily life. You must hear it, understand it, apply it in life. So spirituality in action, not simply in words. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, precept and practice should go together. Not that I'll keep on hearing things till my life, and when do I practice it? How do you know that in next life you will be born as a human being? Nobody knows. So our future life is guided by the effect of what we do in this life. The sum total of all our actions, good or bad, done in our lives determines our future life. In one way, we are the maker of our future. God gives guidance. He teaches us. He comes to our own level and He moves amongst us. Still, if we don't learn, we are only to be considered as fools. Utsideyurime loka nakuryang karma chedaham sankarasya jakarta syamubanyami ma prajaha. If I stop doing, the worlds would perish. I would be the cause of the admixture of races, species, and cause the destruction of these beings. That means the world goes without direction. Everything becomes chaotic. So, God has to act and must show the way to the people. There's a tendency always for the people to go in a wrong way on account of various other reasons. But we should pursue the spiritual path We should never lose sight of the goal. Anyway, people will not learn easily, so they have to learn through hard experience in life. Saktaha karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvam sata sakta shikirshur lokasangraham. The unenlightened do things with attachment. They want some benefits for themselves. An enlightened person does things with the same zeal but without attachment, and thus guides others on the path of selfless action. This concept of selfless action, nishkama karma, has been highlighted by Swami Vivekananda. Atma mokshartham jagadhitaya cha. There are people, even though that number is very small, yet very significant. There are people who follow this concept in letter and spirit. I know one person that was in Bangalore. I was a monastic member, and I was posted to be an assistant warden of the Ramakrishna Vidyarthi Mandiram, where 100 students were living, and for all those students we are their real parents. We would go to their room every day, talk to them and motivate them to study properly, put them into proper discipline. So everything was to be done strictly. There we had established some fund for poor boys. Poor boys of any community, no distinction between this community and that community. Poor is all right. Anybody who is poor is welcome for admission. But how that poor boys fund to be maintained? Somebody should give, And there was one devotee who was living in Vidyarthi Mandiram, a brahmachari. That means he had not married. He really lived like a brahmachari. He used to do every day Sri Ramakrishna's worship. And his job was, he was financial official in Karnataka government, budget officer. Very high position he had. Single person, no family encumbrances. Without telling anybody, he would give money for the poor boys fund. And whoever is in need, he would simply send the money to them without even mentioning his name. Such people are there. Very simple, very high in quality. Extremely simple, supremely great. Just as an ordinary person performs actions with selfishness, the enlightened one does things without selfishness. That's the difference. Everybody does work, but a remarkable distinction is there. One works selflessly, another one works selfishly. The result of working selfless is you will become egoless, we become more and more humble, more and more devoted, more and more dependent on God. Lord Krishna says, the selfless person should even act a little more carefully and more efficiently than a selfish person. A selfless person should even act a little more carefully and more efficiently than a selfish person. A yogi is acting for everybody's sake and should do a little better job. Sometimes the attitude is, since I am not gaining much from this action, it is mainly for others, it doesn't matter how I do it. I'll just let it happen. Probably Lord Krishna knows this attitude is part of human nature. So he says, don't think that because you are acting selflessly, you can get away with something haphazard. In fact, you should do a better job. Who is a yogi? The one who performs actions skillfully and efficiently. Why? Your interest is to serve others. So many are going to be benefited by your action. You should do a better job. In an ordinary person, if an ordinary person doesn't do a good job, then only he loses. But if you don't do a good job, imagine how many people will lose. Na buddhivedam janayeda jnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. A wise person should not disturb the mind of an unwise person who is still attached to the fruits of his or her actions. But by continuously performing selfless actions, the wise person should influence others in all their activities. So here, Lord Krishna is teaching us a very important point. That is, you must hold on to your ideal and engage yourself in the right way. Do it, show it by your action, but don't unnecessarily disturb the mind of a person who is not up to that level or who is not following your path. That's the message. Once Swami Abhedanandji was sleeping by the side of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, an adept in meditation, just the idea came to him. Let me test the power of my concentration. So, what he did was, Abhedanandji was just lying by his side, and he went and touched him. That made revolution in his mind. It gave a different turn to the thinking pattern of Abhedanandji. When Swami Vivekananda met Sri Ramakrishna, without his revealing, Sri Ramakrishna himself said, "Why did you disturb him? Why did you disturb that Abhedananda? He was going in his own way. You should not disturb." See, same message. You should try to rise them up in their own level. That's the point. Raise them in their own level. Everybody has to start from his own level. At one point Lord Krishna says, Even though at a certain point the need to perform actions naturally drops away, a realized person should not stop doing things. He gives himself as the example. See myself. There is nothing for me to gain in this world. There is nothing I should gain by doing anything. But still I work. Why? If I don't, others will say, he is not doing anything, so why should I? So not working must be the sign of realization. Suppose a small child asks his uncle, who is that man with something hanging around his neck? He is a doctor. That's a stethoscope around his neck. Uncle, I want to be a doctor. Buy me a stethoscope. It's easy to copy. That's why teachers do things that actually there is no need for them to do. Their actions are not for their own sake, but to set examples for their students. If they stop doing these things, the students will immediately follow their example. That's why Krishna is saying here. And he's also basically answering the question, how should we work if we are not doing it for personal gain, but just for the sake of others? Should they be grateful for what they were doing? Can they do the work any way they want? Krishna says no. That's not karma yoga then. Even an ordinary greedy person will do things well for his or her own benefit. We should do things just as well, if not better. Don't think that because it is a dedicated or karma yoga action, it doesn't matter how it is done. In fact, karma yoga actions should be done perfectly, even neater and tidier, because they are offerings. You are offering service to God. Suppose that every day you simply make a little pudding and bread for yourself to eat. When you expect more guests and you are offering them something special, you will not do the same thing as you were doing before. You do something special. It is not for yourself. That's the beauty of it. Whatever you do for your sake can be ordinary, but when you do it for the benefit of others, you are doing it for God. That should be a better job, not just equal to what you would be doing in your own home. So all these points we have to consider if you want to practice karma yoga. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha ahankar vimudhatma kattahamiti manyate. All actions are performed in all cases by the qualities of nature only. He whose mind is deluded by egoism thinks, I am the doer. Prakriti or nature is that state in which the three gunas exist in a state of equilibrium. When this equilibrium is disturbed, creation begins and the body, senses and mind are formed. The man who is deluded by egoism identifies the self with the body, mind, the life force and the senses, and ascribes to the self all the attributes of the body and the senses. In reality, the gunas of nature perform all actions. Karma is inherent in nature, which is constituted of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. But there is no karma whatsoever in Atman. The ignorant man is incapable of distinguishing between the action-ridden nature and the actionless self. It is egoism to identify the self with the non-self. Two trains stand side by side in a railway station. A passenger in one train fixes his gaze on the other. When the other train moves, the man fancies that his own vehicle moves. Likewise, the mobility of Prakriti is imposed on the immobile Atman. Egoism is brought about by mistaking Prakriti for Atman. Bondage persists as long as egoism lasts. Egoistic man thinks of himself as a doer, while actually he is not. Egoism and agency are the outcome of ignorance. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when an onion is peeled continuously, all skin goes away and no substance is left. Similarly, on analyzing the ego, it is found to be no entity. Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante iti matva nasajjate. Arjun, one may intuit the relationship between nature's qualities and action. Whoever does so knows that nature, as he senses, merely abides with nature, as he sense objects. In the senses and the respective objects, they are both constituted of the same elements and of the same gunas. The element fire, for example, has its own combination of gunas. Emitting light is characteristic of fire. The combination of gunas in fire takes one form as the sense of sight and another form as the object of sight. Because of the sameness of nature in both of them, sense experience becomes possible. And this is the fact in regard to all the five senses. Atman, which is consciousness, remains unaffected by the sensations. Even as Akasha, space, is substratum to the dashing clouds, the sage who realizes this truth is free from entanglement. Prakriter gunasammoodaha sajjante gunakarmasu tan krishna vidomandan krishna vinna vichalayet. Those deluded by the qualities of nature are attached to the functions of the qualities. A man of perfect knowledge should not unsettle the foolish one of imperfect knowledge. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. Dedicate all your actions in me, with the mind centered in the self, free from hope and egoism, and from mental fever. You can engage in battle. Surrender all actions to me with the thought, I perform all actions for the sake of the Lord only. The more one attunes one's mind to truth, the more one gains in equilibrium. The truth is, the Lord is the invisible propeller of all actions in the universe. He is the true owner of everything sentient and insentient. Man's prerogative is to know this truth and adjust his life activities accordingly. His mental fever gets pacified in that way. Further, efficiency in the execution of duty increases in him. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Ishvara, the Lord of the universe, smiles on two derisory occasions. When the son is sinking on his deathbed, the doctor assures the desponding mother, don't be afraid, I am here to save your son. This is the first occasion on which God is moved to smile. Two brothers survey and share a land, saying, that portion is yours and this mine. This is the second occasion on which the Lord smiles. Ye me matamidam nityamanutishtanti manavaha shuddhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karmabhihi. Those men who constantly practice this teaching of mine with full faith and without cavilling, they too are freed from actions. A traveler is unable to find out by himself the intricate path to his destination. But he places faith on those who go that way and follows their instructions. By this means, he is sure to achieve the end. A pilgrim in the path of spirituality is of mediocre understanding in that field. It is no disadvantage if he, with Shraddha, enters himself to the adepts in yoga. Even he gets freed from the shackles of karma. Shraddha is a state of mind conducive to all-round advancement. Ardently applying oneself to an undertaking, to be meek and accommodative with others, placing faith in fellow beings. These are all characteristics of Shraddha. To be submissive to the preceptor is a mark of having Shraddha in him. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. By having Shraddha with the Guru, the disciple achieves everything. It happens in the life of Shankaracharya. He was Upanishads to the disciples. There was one disciple who was washing the clothes of the Guru. He could not come at the correct time for the class. The other students were restless, and they began to chant Sahanavavatu, etc. to begin the class. Shankaracharya became annoyed because he noticed the unpleasant feelings in the disciples who were in the class. So what he did was, he just willed that disciple who was washing his clothes be enlightened. Just he willed. And afterwards he called that student, and surprisingly, that disciple who got the blessings of Acharya Shankara could recite all the mantras very lucidly and explain the philosophy behind them. All the other disciples were stunned to hear that. Finally they came to know that that disciple became enlightened because he was engaged in his duty with full Shraddha, and so Shankaracharya blessed him. Earnestly digesting the understandable portions in the Bhagavad Gita and hoping that the abstruse portions will soon become lucid. This is placing Shraddha in this great book. It is cavilling if one becomes intolerant of others, obtaining what is not obtained by oneself. Merits in one, if any, get melted away if one is given to cavilling. Conversely, advancement is ensured for one who delights in the prosperity of others. Arrogant people there are who deride the ignorance, credulity, and superstition in others. They are proud of their own attainments. Such people hardly ever make any progress in spirituality. On the other hand, the humble and the meek, who are ever dependent on the Lord, get over their defects, if any, very soon. The gracious Lord sees to it that his erring devotees come round soon. Sri Ramakrishna said this in the Gospel. So, one-pointed devotion and dedication is required for doing karma, service. If you have that attitude, then karma becomes worship. Work becomes worship if you have spiritual attitude. Ye tvetat abhyasuyanto nanutishtanti me matam sarvajnana vimudam stan vidyanashtana chetasaha. But those who carp at my teaching and do not practice it, deluded in all knowledge and devoid of discrimination, know them to be doomed to destruction. Lord Krishna explains, fire hurts the one who mishandles it, and it cooks food for another who utilizes it properly. Losers are they who do not know of this law of nature. Moral and spiritual laws are not different from the laws of nature. Those who avail themselves of these laws progress and prosper, while those others who defy and break them come to grief and debasement. Cat's claws and teeth are benevolent to the kitten and malevolent to the rat. Similarly, Maya, the power of the Lord, is beneficial to his devotees and harmful to the evildoers, Sri Ramakrishna says. So let us try to understand these subtle ideas while doing service of the Lord. If you start doing any action by remembering God, then it gives right direction and you will be watchful and careful in doing things. So what is important is, somehow you must cherish love towards God and try to do it sincerely, earnestly, without any idea of getting some kind of benefit. God doesn't keep anything himself. He gives you even though you may not want it. Holy Mother used to say, you get more than what you deserve when God's grace comes. God doesn't want to keep anything for himself. God's most pleasant quality is always giving, 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 giving. That is God's special quality. He always gives. So leave it to him, and God gives you best. Thank you. That is consecration of phase 1 of Sri Ramakrishna Universal Temple. That will be on Sunday, July 1st. So we will be performing several homas, Ganapati Homa, Navagraha Homa and Sri Ramakrishna Homa. And also we offer worship of 1008 names of God. So you are all cordially invited to participate in these programs. You can actively participate. So for details, you contact the office. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. Own name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bought for various souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame, as many times as I may be reborn. Grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, and my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou, who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.